وَقَصْدُهُمْ, meaning that their intent, the intent of these people of misguidance, by doing what they do, is the ifsadul aqidah, is the corruption of the Islamic belief. وَإِن كَانُوا يَتَظَاهَرُونَ أَنَّ قَصْدَهُمْ تَنْزِيهُ اللَّهِ, even if that which they make openly apparent is that they claim that their intent is to free Allah and to remove imperfections or false attributes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the resemblance to the creation. This is what they claim is their intent. So they say, we can't affirm for Allah speech, we can't affirm for Allah hands, we can't affirm for Allah a face, we can't affirm for Allah hearing and seeing, and so on and so forth, because these are all attributes of the creation. So if we describe Allah with these attributes, then we have made a similitude between the creation and their Lord. So this is the reason why they claim that they make apparent, as he mentions, they say that our intent is what? Tanzihullah, is to free Allah from all forms of defects, from, as he has mentioned, an mushabahatil makhluqeen, from the resembling the creation. وَهَذَا زَعْمٌ بَاطِلٌ, and this is a false and futile claim of theirs. فَإِنَّ صِفَاتَ الرَّبِّ سُبْحَانَهُ لَا تُشْبِهُ صِفَاتِ الْمَخْلُوقِينَ, for indeed the attributes of the Lord, the one free of all imperfections, the most perfect, there is no resemblance between him and between the attributes of the creation. There is no resemblance. الرب جل وعلا له أسماء وصفات, and the Lord, the majestic and the most high, he has names and he has attributes تليق به وبعظمته, that befit his majesty and befit his greatness. They befit his majesty and they befit his greatness. These are the names and attributes of Allah, they befit him. وَلِلْمَخْلُوقِينَ أَسْمَاءٌ وَصِفَاتٌ, and likewise the creation they have names, and the creation they also have attributes تَلِيقُ بِهِمْ وَبَشَرِيَّتِهِمْ, that befit them. So Allah has names and attributes that befit his majesty, that befit the greatness of Allah and the might of Allah. And likewise the creation have names and they have attributes that befit them, and it befits their human nature. وَبَشَرِيَّتِهِمْ, so these attributes, they befit them and they befit their human nature. فَلَا تَشَابُهَ بَيْنَ النَّوْعَيْنِ, so there is no similitude between the two. مِنْ جِهَةِ الْحَقِيقَةِ وَالْكَيْفِيَّةِ, so there is no similitude between these two, meaning between the Lord and his creation, from the aspect of the true reality and from how they are. So how are the attributes of the creation? They are not like the attributes of Allah. And likewise the reality of these attributes of the creation are not like the reality of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِن كَانَتْ تَشْتَرِكُ فِي الْمَعْنَى وَاللَّفْظِ, even if the creator and the creation, they share in the meaning of these attributes and in the wording of the attributes. So for example, the intent here of course being that we say that the creation hears. For human beings we hear, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears. So in this regard the meaning and the wording is shared. So we say Allah hears everything, so Allah hears, and the human beings they hear. So in that regard we share the wording. What's the wording? Hearing. And we share the meaning. What's the meaning here? That Allah hears. Truly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears. And the creation, the human being, it hears. So the human, he hears. So Allah hears and the human being, it hears. Then he mentions, however, he mentions وَهَذَا مَا يُسَمَّى بِالْمُتَوَاتِرِ. He mentions, and this is what is called or what is referred to as being coincidental between the two. This is something, we don't mean coincidence as in random, meaning coincidental, meaning that this is something that is shared between the creator and the created. What's that? The actual wording and the meaning. It is shared. So when we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees. That's the meaning. He sees. When we say that the human being he sees, then we mean that the human being he sees. So in this regard, the wording and the meaning is shared. However, of course, the true reality, or the true nature rather, and the kayfiyya, how Allah sees and how the creation see, this is not shared. Because our seeing, of course, is limited. As I keep saying, and I've mentioned many times before, that I cannot see beyond the four walls here. In fact, I can't even see beyond that corner. I don't know who's sitting around that corner. So my sight is limited. Allah's sight, however, is not limited. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sight penetrates walls and barriers and darknesses and depths and heavens and earths. Allah's sight penetrates everything, so much so that there is nothing that is free from the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing that is hidden from Allah. As we mentioned in the previous point, if you remember, from Imām al-Barbahari, that Allah knows the secrets and He knows what is even more hidden than that. So Allah knows what is in the hearts, and He sees what's in the hearts. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is in the wombs of the woman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows whether that child will be male or female. So Allah knows everything, Allah sees everything, Allah hears everything. Whereas our knowledge is limited. We only know that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us knowledge of. We only hear that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us by way of the limitations upon our hearing. So even if 10 meters away two brothers were to whisper to each other, I would not be able to hear them. But will Allah hear them? Allah will hear them. So the ma'na and the lafz is shared. Meaning, we hear and Allah hears. And the meaning of hearing is also shared. Because hearing, we know what it means. If I say, I hear something, then you are not in doubt in what it means to hear something. It means that I hear it. That's what it means. It's literal. It's something apparent and clear. And likewise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears. Thereafter, of course, we are created. And there are limitations and weaknesses upon us. However, with regard to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are no weaknesses and there are no limitations. Allah's hearing is all pervasive. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears everything, and there is nothing hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then He mentions thereafter, لكنها لا تشترك في الحقيقة والكيفية. However, that the creation and the creator, they do not share in the reality of those attributes and how those attributes are. وهذا هو مذهب أهل السنة والجماعة. And this is the madhab and the methodology of أهل السنة والجماعة.